Hello everyone, welcome to today's news charter. We'll be discussing some of the most important topics that were discussed in the newspaper today. The idea behind the news charter series itself is to ensure the students get a complete analysis of the most important topics for prelims, mains, even for interview perspective from the news. So instead of depending on multiple resources, lengthy magazines, it would be better if you are in a position to analyze the news on your own, and we will enable that skill in you. So these were the important topics which were in the news today. We'll be discussing about it, and we'll be discussing certain important prelims points and mains based points also. The first and the most important topic that was discussed is air quality index. Air quality index, the problem with air pollution in India and all these things are continuously discussed in the news all the time. So we need to know what exactly is air quality index, what is the methodology adapted by the government, and what are all the things we should be knowing from from the prelims point of view as well as from mains point of view, right? So we'll be starting with this air quality index. When we are discussing, 8 major pollutants are classified here. Particulate matter is the most important pollutant. It is because of particulate matter all kind of smog happens. So particulate matter 2.5 and particulate matter 10 both are included here. Ozone, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, lead and ammonia. Try to remember all of these constituents. We need to remember everything because for prelims you might be getting question. They will give just 2-3 of them and ask whether these are included in calculating the air quality index or not. In 6 cities of India, remember the cities also: New Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, Pune, and Ahmedabad. They have continuous monitoring system. The widely used National Air Quality Index (NAQI). Air Quality Index in India is calculated with National Air Quality Index. It is given by Central Pollution Control Board. It is based on 24-hour average. So these points, why am I stressing here? Because this is how the questions are made. They will ask who is calculating it, Central Pollution Control Board, and based on which methodology, 24 hours average is used. So for 24 hours, the monitoring will happen and then the average will be considered. Apart from this, one more important program you should be knowing is System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research Portal. So this particular portal is very, very important. Mostly when we talk about air quality, people will just read the National Air Quality Index, but in reality, we should study about the System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research Portal also. It is very important because it is location specific. Each and every small location can be considered here and a research will be undertaken, and then based on the research, so it's all based on the software, and based on that they will be giving you the air quality of that particular location. So in future this portal will be given too much importance, so because it is local, it gives the local idea. It's not one solution for the entire city. You can get the air quality of a particular locality also. It is a national initiative introduced by Ministry of Earth Science. Very important point for your prelims. It is developed by Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, which is located in Pune. Very, very important. There will be LED displays in which a real-time air quality index is displayed all the day. The entire 24/7 display will be there. And 72 hours advanced forecasting can also happen. So whether advanced forecasting can happen here or not, if you are getting a statement of that kind, you should tell yes. And the pollutants monitored here is also important. So here in air quality index, we have seen that totally 8 major pollutants are considered. Here, if you see, it will be around 12 pollutants. So what happens is some of them are common, some of them are not common. So PM 2.5, 10, ozone, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and then sulfur dioxide. All these things are common. Here you have lead and ammonia. Lead and ammonia has been removed here. And then we have included benzene, toluene, xylene, and mercury. So these are additional chemicals whose rate is also calculated. So in total, 10 pollutants are calculated in this portal. So these points are extremely important for your prelims examination. In mains, you might not get any question directly. This data is very important. You have to remember this data also. So if the air quality index is around 0 to 50, it is good. If it becomes 401 to 500, it is severe. What are all the intermediary stages here? And the data is also important for your prelims examination. Regularly, we have been getting news about Israel, Palestine all the time. So they might not ask any direct question, but indirect question from historical background you might be getting. So Oslo Accords and Camp David Accords are two important topics in this particular context. So when we talk about Israel-Palestine, from your prelims point of view, first thing you should know the maps, where Israel is located. So this location is very, very important. This is what Israel is, the present day Israel, which includes Palestine also. So this location is very important. You should know that in the west of Israel, you have Mediterranean Sea, and then in southwest of Israel, we have Sinai Peninsula. Sinai Peninsula belongs to Egypt, and then in the east we have Jordan, and then in the northeast you have Syria, and on top of it you have Lebanon. And Palestine is divided into two. Here, a small strip is there. This strip is called as Gaza Strip. And here you have your West Bank. So these two is Palestine. And the Jordan and Israel are divided with River Jordan. River Jordan is here. So this geography is extremely important. Then when we talk about the accords, three important accords we always discuss. It's important for your mains specifically. Oslo one, in which the interim Palestinian government in Gaza and Jericho were planned. They planned a interim Palestinian government. In Oslo 2, they said that the Israeli troops will completely withdraw from West Bank cities. But however, these two were extremely failure. They were not successful. So in mains examination, when you talk about, when you write about this issue, in case if you get a question, there is very less chance you will get a direct question because usually they ask questions in which India is involved. But you should be knowing, at least from prelims perspective, you should know that if they talk about Oslo Accord and Camp David Accord, it is related to Israel-Palestine issue. At least that much idea you should be having. Camp David Accord is a series of agreement which normalize the relationship between Egypt and Israel. So here there is a very good scope of a question. They may ask, Camp David Accord is related to the Israel-Palestine issue, then it's a wrong statement. It is related to Egypt and Israel. So these points you should be knowing from your prelims examination perspective. Simultaneous elections has always been in news. They have been in news for the last 4 years. And this time its importance is very high because of 2024 election. So from prelims point of view, if you are getting any question, it will be related to certain articles which are related to elections. Other than that, they might not ask. But from mains point of view, this is an extremely important topic. So when you talk about simultaneous elections means what? Conducting elections for states and for the Central Legislative Assembly, that is Lok Sabha, both at the same time. So a single day, both state election and then the central election will be conducted. A person can go and vote for the state assembly and then for the Lok Sabha also at the same time. So this is beneficial in several ways. What are the benefits? One thing, unnecessary expenditure will be done away with. You can just spend once, that will be enough. You don't have to conduct multiple elections. There can be just one electoral roll. With electoral roll, a lot of problems happens. In state assembly election, in electoral roll, someone's name will be there. In Lok Sabha election, the name will not be there. So a lot of confusions happen here. Such things can be avoided. Security personnel can be used just once. You don't have to use them multiple times for all the elections. Some time, all the time elections will be there in our country. So you don't have to do this from now on if you are having a simultaneous election. Political uncertainty will not be there. So continuously state governments changing once in a while, and the power of the central government will reduce. For example, if today, if the central government is having power in 20 states, and after 1 or 2 years, in 2, 3 elections, if they have lost, they will take a backseat. They will say that now elections are more important for us. We have to win because they have to manage the power. So such things will not be there. Prevention of policies for influence in the election. So whenever election comes, parties will tell that we will do away with the farm loans. We will give that one, that freebie. We will do this, we'll do that. So these kind of problems will be done away with. There will be no problem with development. So if the party is well set for the next 5 years, they don't have to worry about anything. They can keep doing their good work. They don't have to worry much about the state elections. It will be against divisive politics because when you have a simultaneous election, the national agenda takes the front seat. So regional issues, regional problems, regional ideology, casteism, or communalism, all these things will be gone. Nationally important issues will be taken care of. What are the arguments which are against it? It is against federalism because here, as we already discussed, the central issues, the national issues will be given importance, state issues will not be given importance. So it is against federalism. It pushes the local issues completely back into the periphery. Negative impact on regional parties because at present, regional parties are able to come and get elected in their state election. If a simultaneous election is conducted, only national parties will uh, have importance because we talk about national issues. So national parties will always have influence here. There should also be too many EVMs and VVPATs involved because simultaneously you are conducting huge amount of elections for state and center. So we should manufacture a lot of electronic voting machines and then voter verifiable paper audit trail. These two things are used in elections in counting the votes. In registering the votes, EVM is used, VVPAT is used in order to check whether the vote is registered properly or not. We will discuss about it later. At least 5 articles have to be changed. So constitutional challenge is also there. You have to amend a lot of articles. When you are amending a lot of articles, it cannot be done at a small time. It will take a lot of time. And then local bodies. Local body elections are also there. At present, local body elections are conducted by the state government in a very different way. But if you are talking about simultaneous election, and if you are conducting elections for state and center at one time, and then you are conducting local body election at some other time, then it just destroys the entire spirit of simultaneous election. So these are the arguments against it. In case of mains, if you're getting such question, what you can do is you can take the stand that simultaneous elections are good, but then it should be considered only after overcoming all the challenges, all the constitutional challenges, all the operational challenges and everything, then you implement simultaneous election. Tejas light combat aircraft, extremely important from prelims point of view, because you must be knowing that the Prime Minister took a sortie with Tejas light combat aircraft very recently. So you should be knowing about the details of Tejas. Tejas replaced the MiG-21 fighter airplanes. Indian Air Force was using MiG-21 fighter airplanes earlier. It was very old. It has become old, so we have replaced it with Tejas. The significance of Tejas is it is designed by DRDO, Department of Defense Research and Development, but it was manufactured by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Students should be very, very careful when they are discussing about it, when they are dealing with this kind of topics. It is designed by DRDO but manufactured by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. It is the lightest, smallest, and tailless multi-role supersonic fighter aircraft in its class. Supersonic means it can travel at a speed which is higher than that of the speed of a sound. Speed of sound is 330 meter per second. So it will travel at a speed which is higher than that. It is designed to carry air, air to surface, precision guided weapons are also used here. Air to air refueling capacity is also there. So mid-air refueling, in order to refuel, the aircraft doesn't have to land on the ground and then refuel. So it saves a lot of time. It gives a huge amount of advantage in case of warfare. So or in the air itself, they will do the refueling. Maximum payload is 4000 kg. Maximum speed is 1.8 Mach. 1.8 Mach means 1.8 times the speed of light. Range of the aircraft is 3000 kilometer. So these are all the basic details you should be knowing from your prelims examination point of view. Not important for mains, but for prelims it's extremely important. Exercise Milan 2024. Exercise Milan is conducted by Indian Navy. Participation of over 50 countries are there. Exercise Milan is very big. It is a naval exercise where a lot of countries are participating. It is biennial in nature, multilateral naval exercise. It began in 1995. It is the largest exercise held by India. That is the reason this is very, very important. One another very important point you should be knowing is about the Navy Day. In the recent times, the UPSC have started asking questions like this, where they will give a particular date and say which day is this. So you need to know some of the important days which are in news. We can't remember each and every day, but then some things which are covered in the news can be remembered very easily. So December 4 is the Navy Day. Why this particular point is very important? Because it is on December 4th in 1971, Indian Navy attacked the Karachi harbor. The attack happened under Operation Trident, in which Indian Navy destroyed the entire Karachi harbor, and this played a very significant role for India to win the 1971 India-Pakistan war, because Karachi harbor was very important for the Pakistani Navy. So now that the Karachi harbor was destroyed, it became very difficult for their naval force to arrange their fleet and come and attack Bangladesh. So that this was a very significant move by the Indian Navy. So this particular day is important. Xray polarimeter is a new initiative taken by ISRO, where we can identify X-ray waves from the space. So Xray polarimeter is announced by Indian Space Research Organization to investigate the polarization of intense X-ray sources. From which kind of sources X-rays are coming from the space. Once we identify these things, we will be studying about black hole. We can study about neutron stars. We can study about galactic nuclei, pulsar, nebulae, everything. Because it is from these sources usually X-rays are emitted. So the idea of X-ray polarimeter is the ISRO will launch a polarimeter into the space. The polarimeter will try to record the X-rays from these sources. So once we record the X-rays, it will become easy for us to study about them. So it is launched by Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. You should be knowing, aspirants should be very clear about it. Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle are always used when we have to launch something in low Earth orbit. If you are launching something into high Earth orbit, then we use the GSLV, that is Geosynchronous Launch Vehicle. So that's all about the X-ray polarimeter. Some important points for mains examination perspective. One thing, loss and damage from climate change cost about $1.5 trillion. That is 1,500 billion in 2022. It was a study by University of Delaware. This point can be used in your GS3 paper. Total loss and damage because of climate change in 2022 was 1.5 trillion. Outdoor air pollution from all sources account for 2.18 million deaths in India itself. So around 21 lakh people every year die because of outside air pollution. Especially in cities like Delhi, it is very clearly visible. Some important points from prelims examination point of view. We were discussing about electronic voting machine, voter verifiable, paper audit, trial. These 2 points are very important for this year. Extremely important because elections are being conducted. What you should be remembering, you should remember electronic voting machines are introduced in 1982. It has 2 units. One is control unit, another one balloting unit. Control unit will be under the control of the officials. Balloting unit is where people will go and cast their vote. Now, earlier, a lot of a lot of criticisms were there that electronic voting machine can be hacked, but the election commission has proved that it is impossible because it uses just one electronic thing in it, that is 6-volt alkaline battery, which is not connected to anything. It is a standalone device, so you cannot hack it. It is manufactured by Bharat Electronics Limited. About voter verifiable paper audit trail. Verifiable paper audit trail is also developed by Bharat Electronics and then by Electronics Corporation of India Limited. So these two organizations are involved. So if you are getting a question, it is developed only by Bharat Electronics, that is wrong. If you are getting a question, if it is developed only by ECIL, that is also wrong. It is developed by both of them. So why is this used? It is used so that people, when you are voting, you will get to know whether you have voted in the right party. So if I am registering a vote, if I am pressing the vote, immediately what happens is this VVPAT machine will print a slip. The slip will contain name of the candidate and then symbol of the party. And then it will be there, it will be shown for 7 seconds. After 7 seconds, it will be completely shredded and destroyed. So no one else will know about it. INS Mahi, INS Malvan, and INS Mangrove. These three they belong to Mahi class ships, which are anti-submarine in nature. It is replacing the Abai class. Just a basic fact which you should be knowing. Nothing much to explain in that. So that's all for today. All the best. Study well. Let's meet tomorrow.